This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Kennedy, a.k.a. Mr. Anderson.
This is the Young Titan, Aaron Atlas.
Hey, this is Matt Brannigan.
This is the Warbound Hellhound, Bo Sword.
This is your favorite drunken pro wrestler, a.k.a. the Bud Light Brawler, Dalton Davis.
This is Lizzie Six.
This is Jake Something.
And this is the jaw-jacking, back-cracking, God created all men equal, and then he made me the sequel, Rohit Raju, and you are listening to the Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Hell yeah.
The Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast? Yeah, that's right, I stuttered. Shut up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast, an independent wrestling podcast with a few pit stops along the way. You know, just when you think you got MadBash figured out. You know, just when you think you know what we're going to do. We throw that left hook. We got something special here today. This is going to be a little one-on-one with me, the Dr. Seuss of the commentary booth, Mr. Dickie Wabash. Now, for those of you that have been on social media, you know that the one-legged wonder, Mr. Michael Madrox, has been feeling a little under the weather lately. He could not make it to the studio to record, and I figured Madrox would kill me if I did not get a Spot Show podcast out. I told him, I was like, listen, worst case scenario, I'll just upload a paid show for free. Give everyone a little preview ski of the Patreon. And he said, I would rather record a podcast on my phone than do that. So what Madrox wants, Madrox gets. We're getting an all new, very special edition of the Spot Show Podcast. Don't know if this is going to be an hour. We don't know how long it's going to be. You know, when it's just one guy talking, sitting here on my couch, YouTube is paused because the motivation randomly hit me. That, hey, man, you got to get this podcast recorded. That's exactly what I'm doing. That's what I'm here to do. But, you know, here's the thing. Even though this is just a one-person podcast, I'm still going to remind you that this is the Spot Show Podcast each and every week. Myself, I'm usually with Michael Madrox. We get together and we talk about the wacky, wacky world of wrestling and everything in between. If you like what we're doing here, you can go on over to patreon.com/MadBash Studios. If you back us at the $5 tier, then you are going to get this show and everything else that we do early and ad-free. That's less than a cup of coffee a month, guys. You are getting quality content early and ad-free. But here's the thing. That's not the only way that you can support us. You can also support us by going to MadBashStudios.com. You can find this show on your favorite podcasting platform. Leave us a 5-star written review. Go to the YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe. Go to the Facebook page. Give us a like and a follow. Those are arguably the best way that you can support, and it's free. I know that we all love free here. Listen, we've got some dates and plug skis for ya. Coming up, September 22nd. Oh boy, that's soon, guys. Chris Cutler the Conqueror, is going to be defending his MadBash Wrestling Championship against the Rizzled Veteran, the 5'7" gift from heaven, Oliver Kane. This is a first time ever one-on-one meeting between these two. That's definitely going to be something that you are going to want to be there for. For more information, check out New Version Wrestling on Facebook. That is, of course, where this event is going to be held. The David Halls Memorial Show. Tickets are available right now. You can find out all that information on the New Version Wrestling Facebook page. We've got some plug skis you know that we've got the Plugskis. Ascend the Throne, where Chris Cutler won the Mad Bash Wrestling Championship, is available right now on the YouTube page. For the first time ever, free to the public, Ascend the Throne is available. This is a show that everyone that has seen it has had nothing but good things to say about it. Why are you going to want to miss out on that? Why are you going to be the one that is feeling left out? That's the question that you really need to ask yourself when you look in the mirror tonight. Okay? Why be left out? You shouldn't be. Speaking of being not left out, over on the Patreon, we have got early access to a big video that is going to be coming to the YouTube channel. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little bit hesitant on if I even wanted to say what this video was, because I don't think that we've publicly talked about it outside of the paywall. But here we go. The Mad Bash gang went ghost hunting at the Indiana State Sanatorium. That video is going to be available soon on YouTube, but you can get it right now on Patreon, early and ad-free on the $5 tier. That's one of the biggest plugs that we have put out so far. We are just making different types of content for everyone. That's what we're trying to do here, being unapologetically creative. Patreon.com/MadBash Studios, back as the $5 tier, early access to the Ghost Hunt vlog. And of course, this show is brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling and Venom Energy Drink, but you're going to hear a little bit more about them later. Even though this is a single person show, a one-person show, we still got to pay the bills, so there are going to be ads. There's always going to be ads. So I'm going to level with you guys. I'm going to keep it a buck, as the kids like to say these days. I'm 33. When I hit record, still, really deep down, had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I'm still kind of spitballing here. This is just going to kind of be a stream of consciousness that we are going to see what becomes available as we go. I've got a couple of things that we could talk about, but for the most part, flying by the seat of our pants, and we are doing it without the safety net of my wonderful, wonderful co-host, Mr. Michael Madrox. But listen, I'm Dickie Wabash, okay? I figure it out every single time. We are coming off of a really solid wrestling weekend, though. I am going to say that. We had a 3-day weekend, of course. It was Labor Day. And we started off that 3-day weekend, that fabled 3-day weekend. Listen, all you got to do is go to any blue-collar worker and say the phrase 3-day weekend, and they are happier as the proverbial pig in shit. It's what my father would always say, happier than a pig in shit. I don't know if he's the one I heard that from, actually, now that I think about it. I've heard a lot of things from my dad, but don't necessarily know if that's it. Hey, listen, shout out to Funky Munky Wrestling. They had the Mad Bash carload. Had the boys, Oliver Kane, Clayton Clark, Colby Jack, Shank Barzini. Dalton Davis rode along. Can't compete right now, obviously. Had to keep him and Clayton separated because, there's a little bit of bad blood there. Literally bad blood at this point. But I'm going to tell you right now, Funky Munky Wrestling put on a hell of a show. It was a fair show. And a fair show in wrestling is what we like to call a spot show. It's a spot show. For those of you that are not in the know, that is where the name of this podcast came from, a spot show. So Funky Munky had this fair show. Clayton Clark got to wrestle Oliver Kane. Hell of a match. Really good match there. And I'm going to tell you, Oliver is one of those guys that he is cocky. I'm going to give it to you. Oliver Kane is one of the most cocky human beings that I have ever met in my entire life, but he can back it up. I see a lot of Clayton Clark in Oliver Kane because Clayton Clark is a very cocky human being as well. He's one of my closest friends. They're both two of my closest friends. So to see these, I'm not going to say ego because it's not necessarily an ego, but to see these boisterous human beings step into the ring with each other, man, oh man. Man, oh man, what a match. What a day in general. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to CMC. You know, CMC was booked on the show. Got to hang out with him a little bit. We walked the midway of the fair. Allow me to get on my soapbox here real quick. Why is it that when you go to these fairs, the food is just always so overpriced? Oliver Kane, Shank Barzini, CMC, Dickie Wabash. We all saw a Philly cheesesteak stand. And we thought, wow, that sounds good. $13 later, I had the most mid cheesesteak of my entire life. Okay, calling it mid maybe is not fair, but I could make the exact same thing on my flat top grill at home for half that at least. I'm going to be generous and say half each per sandwich. $7 per sandwich, roughly. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. To call it mid is mean. I did enjoy it, but could have been better. Could have been better. Tell you what was good, though. Dalton Davis got these cheese curds that, my God, they were incredible. Cheese curds are really the unsung hero, I think, of the fried food community. Because I remember the first time I had a cheese curd. I was a little kid. I went to Wisconsin with my family. And I always heard the song about the curds and whey. You know. I forget how it goes. She sat on the tuffet or something like that, eating her curds and whey. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet eating her curds and whey. That's what it is. I never knew what a curd was. And then it occurred to me. See what I did there? It's just cheese. It's literally just cheese. And that's fine. But what makes it even better is that when you put it in the batter and you fry it, it is the proven fact that most everything is better when you fry it. Including Oreos. Almost got some fried Oreos, but I ate like shit that day. Okay, and my stomach could not handle the fried Oreos. But I'm going to tell you the biggest takeaway for me from that Funky Monkey show was that I got to meet Mr. Bobby Houston. Here's the thing about Bobby Houston, right? One of the nicest guys in the business that I've ever met. Shout out to him. I'm going to get that out of here right away. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. But I was a little bit nervous to meet him, and I'm going to tell you why I was. He took part in the inspiration for my documentary, Danville Dreamers. He was a part of Heroes of Burke County. That documentary was the direct inspiration for Danville Dreamers. And this is the first time in the 7 or 8 years since I've made that movie. Wow, was it really that long ago? It was 2016. Yeah, 8 years. Wow. Can't believe we're coming up on a decade since that movie was made. Such a lifetime ago almost. But anyway, it's the first time that I've gotten to talk to anyone, from the inspiration of this movie. Could not have been a nicer guy. I told him, I was like, look, I'm not ripping it off. For years, I did have a little bit of imposter syndrome, and I did feel like that I was ripping off Heroes of Burke County, but I don't, over time, I really realized that I wasn't. It was an homage more than anything. And it's become a cult classic for a few people. You know, if you want to consider it that. It's just a documentary to me. It's my magnum opus. It's one of the proudest accomplishments that I've had in my video editing career and my directorial career. Lousy director over here. So to give him my card and then for him to say, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to check this out. Hell yeah, I'll let you know. Here's the difference between how Bobby Houston said that and how a lot of these guys in the business would have done that. When he said, I'm going to watch this documentary, he meant that. He wasn't blowing smoke up my ass. He wasn't trying to brother me. He was being serious. He was being like, listen, dude, this is something that you've worked hard on very clearly. I'm interested. I'm going to check this out. And I can confirm that he has, in fact, seen it. I do not know what his thoughts on the documentary are just yet. But when I know, I will make sure that you guys know. So shout out to Bobby Houston. Really good guy. Really incredible guy. So far, every person that I have met through Oliver Kane, his opinion is spot on. Whether that be good or bad. A lot of times good. There's a few bad, though. There's a few bad. But Oliver's one of those guys that when he likes someone, he really likes someone. And he sings their praises to the point of where he almost doesn't shut up about them. I don't say that in a negative way. I'm going to tell you a story about Oliver right now that he's probably going to kill me for publicly talking about this, but I don't care. After the Harker Dirge podcasts came out, Harker was talking about how gear that he made was going to be on an action figure. And he even said in the podcast, if I remember correctly, I don't remember if he said it in the podcast or if he said it after we got done talking. You know, action figures are just so expensive nowadays. I don't even know if I want it. So Oliver gets a hold of me and he's like, I think that we should get the action figure for Harker Dirge. And he did. Oliver bought the Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly action figures for Harker Dirge. That's the kind of guy that he is. Speaking of action figures, I am looking at a Luminaries CM Punk that is on my pile of collectibles. As you know, I have a huge pile of collectibles. We've talked about it. Go back to episode 2 of the Spot Show podcast that Oliver bought me. Because I just mentioned one day, I was like, you know, I don't really collect figures much anymore. But that ROH Luminaries CM Punk, I'm a big CM Punk guy. I would like to have that figure, and he bought it for me. So kudos, Oliver. Kudos to him. Good guy. Really, really good guy. It was just a fun weekend overall. And then I get back Sunday and do absolutely nothing. Pretty sure I did absolutely nothing. It was a 3-day weekend. You're supposed to do absolutely nothing on a 3-day weekend. And then Monday, I did absolutely nothing as well. But I got to tell you, I started during this weekend, out of the blue, don't know why I did it, I started rewatching Breaking Bad. And I have been very vocal on different platforms in the past about how I feel that Breaking Bad is actually kind of overrated. But not in a way of where I think that it's a bad show. I'm not saying Breaking Bad's a bad show. I'm just saying that Breaking Bad is just not as good as people say that it is. It's fine. I don't think it's better than The Sopranos. I think The Sopranos is probably the best TV show of all time. I mean, to quote Peter Griffin in an episode of Family Guy, I feel as though Breaking Bad insists on itself. Like, it's one of these shows where you look at it and you're supposed to think, I've been told that this show is good. This show is shot in such a way where I am supposed to think that it's amazing. So by that logic, I then have to call it a masterpiece. Again, I'm not saying that Breaking Bad is a bad show. It's fine. I'm on season 2. I think season 5 is severely overrated. You know, there's some stuff that happens throughout the fucking show that I'm just like, why? I think Tuco's cousins that are dressed like fucking gigolos. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're just too cartoony. I think they are entirely too cartoony. The fucking scene with the big magnet that pulls all the shit in the police station. My God, like, let's at least add a little bit of realism to it. I'm not saying that everything in the show needs to be, like, spot on, you know, perfect, but it's like, if we are trying to make this grounded in reality, then let's ground it in reality. We don't need to go crazy, you guys. That is 2 AMC shows that in the history of this podcast that I have shat upon. The first one was Walking Dead. When I called Walking Dead a show for stupid people, and I still stand by that. Clayton Clark and I still to this day argue over my opinions of The Walking Dead. And I got news for you, Sheriff. I will not relent. I stand by it. I feel as though Walking Dead is a show for stupid people. And I know that there are people out there that think that I'm an asshole for saying that. As a matter of fact, I know there's at least a couple, because they've told me to their face, to my face rather. They know who they are. And we'll talk about it when I see you again. But I stand by it. The Walking Dead is a show for stupid people, and Breaking Bad is mid. On the MadBash scale, which we talked about, I believe, 2 podcasts ago, where Madrox and I broke down our 1 to 5, our minus 7 to 5 scale, I would give Breaking Bad probably a 3. A 3 out of 5. Now, I know that scale is tailor-made specifically for wrestling matches, but, you know, let's be honest. It's universal. It can be universal. It's fluid. You can do whatever you want with it. You can do whatever you want with it. So Breaking Bad on the MadBash scale is a solid 3 out of 5. Just saying. Will I continue to watch it? 100% I will. Because I have nothing else to watch. I need background noise. I'm currently watching Dragon Ball Super as well. I'm in the Goku Black saga, which is very good. That's another thing Oliver and I have bonded over, is our love of Dragon Ball Z. Jay Silva and I also have bonded over our love of the Dragon Ball franchise. Telling you, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, we are going to find a way to make some content. Dickie Wabash versus Jay Silva. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is going to happen because we are both hyped to the gills for that game. But you're not here to hear about Dragon Ball video games and my spicy hot takes. You probably want to hear about the wrestling, because that's what we are. We're an independent wrestling podcast. We take a few pit stops along the way. So just indulge me as I sit here on my couch with my zero proof beer in my Kirby pajama pants as my neighbor is pounding away on his roof. I'm going to tell you about my neighbor. This dude roofed his entire house by himself last summer. Or so I thought. It was only the one side of the house. Now he's doing the other side. Guys, it has been roughly between 85 and 100 degrees in our hometown, and this guy has still been out there roofing every day. So kudos to him. Kudos to that guy. Kudos to him. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'm too soft. I burn easy. Another alarming thing that took place this weekend is my friend and I both realized that we were on TikTok a disgusting amount. Her and I just sending TikToks back and forth to each other. So much so that she said, and I quote, "The amount of time that we have spent on here is becoming concerning to me." And because of her concern, I then started to raise concern because I was like, I have not walked today. And that's not good. So what did I do about it? Continue to scroll TikTok. That's what I do. That's how I do. Another thing I've been doing recently is that for those of you that are Pokemon fans, I don't know how many of you, how much it crosses over. I've been working on my Pokemon living decks. This is something that I've been working on for probably damn near 2 years, 2.5 years probably. Yeah, I started the living decks before I got back into the business. So yeah, probably 2.5 years. Very long time. Very long time. I got back onto that. I've been taking breaks every so often because I would get burnt out on it and not want to do it for a bit because it's very tedious. Like, I think there's at this point, there's 1,017 Pokemon maybe. Something like that. And I think I'm at 1,004, I think. 1,004? I don't know. I'm very close. Matter of fact, I'm going to boot up my Pokemon Home here and I'm going to figure out because now it's bugging me. Now I need to know how many Pokemon I have. And the funny part of it is, you probably don't care. Because you've probably already turned off the podcast because hearing one guy talk is not very entertaining. I know. We're trying here. Madrox had some health issues. I turned on the recorder. And we're sitting here just doing what we do. Man, speaking of... Oh, I'm at 111. Out of how many? Because I think there's probably a lot more than 107. Because I know I need more Pokemon than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, hang on. They're numbered here. Yeah, so there's like 124 Pokemon. And I am at 111. So just over 10 more Pokemon. 13 more Pokemon. Lucky number 13. I got some news for you guys too, man, because this is something that I've really been stewing on. You know, we're very busy here at MadBash Studios. We talk about how busy we are all the time. Whether it be promoting MadBash Wrestling, me in the edit bay, recording podcasts. And we really have made a lot of work for ourselves here, and not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. I'm very aware of the fact that in order for this company to continue to grow, we need to make content. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we have a second podcast that is called Enough of This. And I think it's time that it is officially enough of this. That podcast is just getting no traction. No one is listening. To put it bluntly, no one's listening to that show. So, I think that we're going to cancel that. I think we're going to stop doing enough of this. I have a few ideas of what we might do in terms of like if we fully cancel it or if we do something else with it or whatever. But I mean, especially this week where Madrox has really not been available to do anything. There was supposed to be one that came out today, actually, the day of this recording. And I bet no one noticed that it didn't even come out. So I'm going to stew on it for a little bit. I think that we're going to probably going to drop enough of this, I feel like. Try to focus on other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying. At least we're looking at it and we tried. I can't say that we didn't try. We did. It just didn't work out. And there's nothing wrong with that. But speaking of working out, we're going to hear now from our lovely, lovely sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. We all love live entertainment, right? We all love live wrestling, right? Well, what if I told you that there is a place that combines the entertainment and the wrestling live that we all love? Look no further than Elite Pro Wrestling. Whether it's in person in Odin, Indiana, or Washington, Indiana, or if you check them out on YouTube, Elite Pro Wrestling guarantees a quality show that allows them to live up to the name Elite. If you're feeling generous, go ahead and check them out on Patreon as well. If you back them, you're going to get early access to all of their shows before they hit YouTube. Again, check out EliteProfessionalWrestling.com. This episode is brought to you by Venom Energy. Hey, we've all been there, and there's nothing wrong with admitting to it. Well, what I mean is that we've all hit that midday slump, and we all need a little push to get us through the rest of the day. Well, what better option to give you a pick-me-up than one of the wonderful flavors of Venom Energy? Venom is what gets MadBash through those long show days, and we know that it can do the same for you. I'm going to sweeten the pot a little bit for you, too. Yeah, come to our merch table when you see us at a show, and with the purchase of a MadBash Wrestling sticker or magnet, you get a Venom Energy drink on us. While supplies last, of course, so you better act quick. We'd like to thank Venom again for sponsoring this episode. Please consume responsibly. Not recommended for children under 18, pregnant or nursing women, or people sensitive to caffeine. Another thing that we do here on the Spot Show podcast is a little something called the Premium Live Event Draft. Now, for those of you that are on the Facebook page, you have already seen this. The results are in, and hoo boy, did I get my shit rocked. Those of you that are unaware, which you should be, Madrox and I drafted 10 people. Then we get points based on how they perform on premium live events. And then recently, we did a supplemental draft where we drafted 3 more people to bring the total to 13. And then what we did, we elected to drop someone. And let me tell you, I really thought that supplemental draft was going to work in my favor. I did. I really thought that I was going to be able to make something happen. And granted, this is the first premium live event since the supplemental draft. But hoo boy, what a showing I had. Or rather, what a showing I didn't have. Because Michael Madrox walked away from Bash at Berlin with 305 points. That is a record. That is a record amount of points to have been scored on this premium live event draft so far. So much so that all I can do is just sit back and laugh. I scored 65 total. To give you an idea of how poorly I did on Bash at Berlin, at NXT No Mercy, my supplemental pick, Ethan Page, total, just by himself, almost did better than my entire Bash at Berlin team. Like, what the fuck is going on here? My top scorer was Randy Orton with 30. Michael Madrox's top scorer was Gunther with 55, which theoretically is the most amount of points that you can get on a premium live event for one person is 55. Because Gunther did everything on this show. He had an on-screen appearance. He had a match. It was a title match. It was a main event. It was a win. It was a successful title defense. And he appeared on the press conference. The only way that, in theory, someone can score more than that is if they do all of that, and it's King of the Ring, Money in the Bank, or the Royal Rumble. Because you get, I think it's 15 points if you win one of those three, which Gunther did. He won King of the Ring. He got the 15 points at King of the Ring. Left me in the dust. 305 to 65, bringing the overall score to 1,120 to 800. You know what, though? I'm not giving up. I will not give up. I refuse to give up. Oh, by the way, at NXT No Mercy, I scored 90 points to his nothing because he didn't draft any NXT people. Small victories, guys. Small victories. I'll take it, especially when you get defeated that badly. 305 to 65. That shouldn't even be possible. Literally, every single person on my team that was on the show lost. And basically, every person that Madrox had on the show had big matches where you could get a fuckload of points. He had the tag titles with Bianca and Jade. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. He had both of them. He had Gunther. I had Randy. What are we even doing? He has Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. They won. Rhea Ripley was my number one pick. And then I dropped her for Solo Sikoa because she was injured. Now, with hindsight, should I have dropped Rhea Ripley for Solo Sikoa? Maybe not. Maybe not. That's up for debate. But at the time, it really seemed like the move. Because we didn't know how long Rhea was going to be out, so I dropped her for Solo. We will see. We will absolutely see. I also am on the clock because I have to decide if I want to drop Seth Rollins or not, who I just picked up in the supplemental draft. I will not be dropping him because it's a kayfabe injury from the Bronson Reed beatdown. We have that bailout. If one of your guys gets hurt, you can you can drop them for someone else. That's how I dropped Rhea. Madrox has dropped Dom. I believe those are the only injury drops that we've had. I think so. I dropped Ilya Dragunov because he had not scored me any points. Madrox dropped Uncle Howdy. In theory, which pun intended here, I could have dropped Austin Theory or Grayson Waller, but then I would be stuck with one of the two. I feel like they're going to do something with them. I don't know. What really hurt me in this draft, though, is the fact that I drafted A-Town Down Under, and I should not have done that. If I was smart and drafted smart, then I would do better. That's just how it is. But I didn't draft smart. I didn't draft smart. 305 to 65, though. I didn't draft that bad. But apparently I did. Apparently I did. Because boy howdy did I get absolutely trounced. And then you look at the overall points. 1120 to 800. Yep. That's where we're at. I don't know though, man. I think I can come back. I think I'm going to be able to come back. I believe in myself. I believe in my team. I think they can pull it off. Oh, I forgot. I dropped Drew McIntyre. Or did Madrox drop Drew McIntyre? Oh no, I dropped Drew McIntyre for Liv Morgan. That's what happened. Yeah, I dropped Rhea for Solo and then Drew for Liv. Which, looking at it like this, probably what I should have done, with the ability of hindsight, of course, I probably should have kept Rhea and still dropped Drew. Because Liv Morgan has performed for me. She's gotten me some pretty solid points so far. 75, to be exact. So far, the top scorer overall is Cody Rhodes with 265. That's on Team Madrox. And then my top performer is at 150. That's Sami Zayn. Yeah, and then Sami Zayn drops his IC title to Madrox's guy, Braun Breaker. It's been folly after folly after folly, guys. And I'm telling you, I'm mounting the rally. I'm mounting the rally. It's going to happen. I am going to win the PLE draft. At least I believe that I will. At least I believe that I will. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for this one. I'm talked out. You know, I do sincerely apologize that this is not your typical Spot Show podcast. But, you know, real life is a little bit more important than this silly thing that we call podcasting. I know you all understand. I know that you get that Madrox is under the weather. He can't record. So then Dickie turns on the recorder himself and tries to make something happen. Hopefully what I made happen is something that you enjoyed. You know, I know that just a solo guy talking podcast is a little bit of a rough one, but bear with us. Hopefully we'll be back to normal next week. One can hope. If not, I'll call in the old Bud Light Brawler or somebody. Have him fill in. Just like he did with the Shank interview. Have him fill out with the Shank interview. That time Madrox just couldn't make it. Just point blank couldn't make it because of scheduling. And then he got sick. And he couldn't be here today. But he's here in spirit. He's the Mad to the MadBash. But we're going to go ahead and get off here. Listen, paid show is also going to be different for those of you on the Patreon. It will not be coming out Thursday. It will be coming out Friday. But it is going to be a different type of paid show. This paid show is going to be a preview of our $10 tier show, Shit Show. Shit Show is, of course, where we have bloopers, uncut stuff, banter of us talking when we're doing commentary, stuff like that. Look forward to that. That's going to be coming out Friday. It is going to be like a combination of paid show and shit show. This is going to be all new stuff because I do know that we put some shit shows on the Patreon for free in a celebration of our 1 year being on Patreon. But no, this one is going to be like all new stuff that no one's heard yet. I believe what we're going to be putting on there is banter that Madrox and I were having at AVW, All Vermilion Wrestling, when we recorded there in August. And then I believe I have some flubs of me doing voiceover for the Ghost Hunt vlog. I think I have a few of those that should be good to listen to. I don't know. But definitely stay tuned. This is for those of you, of course, on the Patreon. Those of you that are not on the Patreon, listen, what are you doing? We're nearing hundreds of hours of content over there on the Patreon. We've got exclusives. We've got early access. And once Madrox gets what he's got going on figured out, we are going to be pumping out even more content. Breaking news, my word. Big Stupid Popcorn is going to be returning very soon to the Patreon. We are going to be watching Fast and Furious, The Fast and the Furious, the first one. Hey man, he was in my face. I'm in your face. Because when you're here, your family. That's Olive Garden, not The Fast and the Furious. I love the Fast and Furious movies, and I love Olive Garden, mostly for the tiramisu. But that's beside the point. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Send your best wishes, your prayers, your vibes, your hearts, thoughts, and prayers to Madrox. He could definitely use them right now. Here's the thing. You cannot kill Michael Madrox. I learned this a very long time ago. Michael Madrox is going to be back hopefully next week. Things are going to be regularly scheduled here on Spot Show. This was something a little bit different because, look, even though it might not be desired, we still try to do our best to give you guys the content that we so rightfully promise. So, I have been Dickie Wabash. You can follow me on Instagram at DW_mischievous_rabbit. Think I'm going to be changing that soon, by the way. I've got a couple ideas for a new username. That's good for the branding. Change your name and then immediately rechange it like 2 months later. But anyway, you can find me on Instagram as it stands now at DW_mischievous_rabbit. Notice I said it both ways. Jason V called me out for the way that I said mischievous. But for those of you that are on the Patreon, just sit tight. We will have a paid show for you on Friday, and it's going to be worth the wait. It's going to be something special that is going to give you a little taste of what else we offer on the Patreon. So, again, I have been Dickie Wabash, and we will see you. You know, I'm pre-programmed to say we, but it's just me today. I will see you down the road on some form of content.